All right, here's your Chapter 1 review. I'm going to do a few of the problems from your assignment with you. The first one says, write 7 to the third power as a product of the same factor. Factor means two numbers that multiply together to get an answer. So what you're going to want to do is write a multiplication problem. So since it's 7 to the third power, I'm going to use the number 7, and I'm going to multiply it 3 times. You're always taking the base as the number you multiply, and the exponent is how many times you multiply that number. So I just need to write 7 times 7 times 7. For number 2, evaluate 2 to the 7th power. I'm going to be evaluating, which means do the math. So I'm going to take 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. And 64 times 2 is 128. Let me just make sure I did that as many times as I should have. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Times 2 is 32. Times 2 is 64. Times 2 is 128. Okay? Number 3 says write 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 in exponential form. That means I want it to have a base and an exponent. Since 10 is the number I'm multiplying, that's the number I'm going to use as my base. Now I'm going to count how many times I multiplied that number. Looking back, I multiplied it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So this is 10 to the 5th power. Number 4 is just like number 2, so I'm going to skip down and do number 8 for you. Number 8 is an order of operations problem. Remember, our order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, is parentheses first, then exponents. Multiplication and division are all in one step. You do them from left to right. And addition and subtraction are all one step. You also do those from left to right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking at my problem and see if do I have any parentheses. If I do, I'm going to do what's inside the parentheses first. I do have parentheses. 8 divided by 4 is inside my parentheses. So I'm going to take 8 divided by 4. My answer is 2. And I'm going to rewrite the rest of the problem. 24 minus 2 to the 4th power. My second phase of my order of operations is exponents. Do I have any exponents? I do. 2 to the 4th power. I need to remember that 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 times 2 is 16. So I'm going to rewrite this as 16. 24 minus 16. The only thing I have left is to take 24 minus 16. And when I do that, I get the answer of 8. On your test, you're going to want to show all of your work so that you get full credit. I'm now going to skip to number 11. 11 has different directions. It says, evaluate each expression if A equals 2 and B equals 4. Show all the steps and circle your answer. So the first step is going to be to plug in 2 for A and 4 for B. Because these are touching, a letter and a number, whenever they touch, it means that to multiply. So this is really saying 6 times A plus 4 times B. So I'm going to replace the A with the 2, 6 times 2 plus 4 times 4, because B is 4. Because of order of operations, I want to do this in the order I'm supposed to, which means I'm going to multiply before I add these together. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 times 4 is 16. When I add 12 plus 16, I get 28. That's my answer, so I will circle it. Now I'm going to move on to the second page and look at some of the properties. You're going to have to recognize which property you're looking at. You can use that flip chart we made in class with notes on it to help you remember. However, you can't use that for the test, so make sure that you study those properties. There are 3 properties: the associative, the commutative, and the distributive property. There's also the identity property, but that's not one of them that we're testing today. First, for number 13, I noticed that my order of my numbers doesn't change. It's still 7 times 4 times 5. 7 times 4 times 5. But my parentheses change. That means what I do first is changing. When parentheses move, or the numbers that are associated with each other are moving, it's the associative property. For number 14, I have 2 times 3 minus 1. And I've distributed this 2 across to the two things inside my parentheses. So now I have 2 times 3 and 2 times 1. And they're connected with the sign in between, the subtraction sign. So I'm going to take and write distributive. Next, I'm going to be looking at number 16 because it's a little bit different. 16 says 8 plus 17 plus 22. Then it changes and it says 8 plus 22 plus 17. The order changes. If the order is changing, we are using the commutative property. Let's move down. We're going to do number 18. The directions say describe the relationship, determine the pattern between the terms in the sequence. This is asking me to define the rule. Okay? So I want to know, what am I doing to get from 27 to 36 and from 36 to 45? It looks like I'm adding 9. So add 9 is the rule. You can also use subtraction to figure this out. I can take 45 minus 36 to find out that there's a difference of 9 in between. If I move from right to left, I'm subtracting 9. From left to right, I'm adding 9. I always want to do the rule of moving left to right. Moving down to number 20, I noticed that my rule is that I'm adding 0.5 to each one. So I'm going to continue to add 0.5 because it asks me to find the next 3 terms in the sequence. So when I add 0.5 to 2.5, I get 3. It's okay to write it as 3 or to write it as 3.0. They're the same thing. Then I'm going to add 0.5 again to get 3.5 and 0.5 again to get 4 or 4.0. Okay? The last example I'm going to do for you is number 21. It would like me to complete the table. As you notice on the table, we have x plus 2. Over on the left-hand side, I have my list of domains. These are the inputs, the numbers going in. And I'm going to create my outputs, or my range. In the middle, I'm just showing my work. Every time I see this x, I'm going to fill it in with my x that I'm on. So first, I have 1. So 1 plus 2 is 3. I move down and I have 2. X is 2, so 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus 2 is 5. 4 plus 2 is 6. And 5 plus 2 is 7. This list over on the left-hand side, the x values, this is my domain. Over on the right-hand side, the outputs, this is my range. It asks, is the domain -1, 0, 1, and 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, 3, and 4? Well, I can eliminate A because I know that my domain is not -1, 0, 1, 2 because I see that it counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over on this side, I see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So is my range 3, 4, 5, 6 or -1, 0, 1, 2? We know that it's the list of values we see over on the right-hand side. So the correct answer is B. Good luck studying for your test. Make sure to check out the Online Learning Center. It's connected to Miss Larson's webpage and possibly Miss Tapper's webpage right now as well. So make sure to check that out, and happy studying.